Hello, 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 hello. Sean Brady. Actually, don't unmute yourself, Jaleesa. We need you here. We need your input. We need your connection and your question. So the as you can see, the title is "Be More You in Taking a New Direction in Life." And Jaleesa, if you would restate your question so that it's just shared with the audience again. And it's about stepping into new areas of your life, or a new venture, or a new business, or something you always wanted to try. Correct?
Correct. I guess more so it's just about showing up to a new adventure, a new whether it's a new industry you're stepping into, and showing up authentically
Yeah,
and
of
being
course.
you and not being afraid to be you as you are in that moment, even if it doesn't have all the expertise, even if it doesn't you don't look like anyone in that industry, or you don't sound like anyone, you don't present yourself the way anyone does in that industry, but to stick to being authentic and
Yes.
trusting that you have something special to bring to the table.
You do, right? And did you want to clarify and be a little more specific on the industry or new venture you want to step into?
Okay, I always want to start businesses. Like, I just have that entrepreneur spirit that wants to do something new all the time.
Yeah,
But on a daily basis, I know I'm conscious and aware of trying to be more authentic and show up as myself and be more present. So I know that that's going to be challenged if I decide, or when I decide to start a new business
got
and
it.
go into a different industry. Yeah.
Sure. So it sounds like there's been a couple of different entrepreneurial opportunities for you in life. Is there any one that you're considering right now?
So I'm thinking about, this one wouldn't really be a new industry, but I'm
Hmm.
thinking about just expanding ways to profit off of my brand as a creative, as a model, as a up and coming filmmaker. Just trying to expand myself and come up with more creative ways to um, just expand my brand. And
Right.
so I don't know exactly which industry, I don't know the route I want to take exactly yet, but just not being afraid to explore and
Yeah.
see what's
Well, I
out
think you're
there.
doing it, right? So I think
Yeah.
you've already begun that journey. So have the confidence in knowing it's like, look, I'm already doing this, and I might not know where I'm going to end up, but I have an idea. So I guess to put it on so here's a story about myself. At one point in time, I always avoided real estate for a bunch of different reasons. I thought it was like, oh, it's a high pressure sales thing. I didn't want to do
Right.
that. There's usually no salary. It's 100% commission. Even if it's a draw, the draw is very low. That means you get a little bit of money, but once you make your commissions, you have to pay that money you already were advanced, right? So that's kind of scary.
Got you. Yeah.
But in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, I still want to go forward with this. And it was something about, I had this idea of being a real estate mogul. And I'm like, well, I don't even know necessarily know what that means. I know what other people out there in the world are. I read people in the newspapers, the periodicals. I had friends who were successful in real estate on a couple of different levels, but I didn't necessarily knew what that looked like for me. And I found that there was a lot of things I enjoyed about real estate, but not everything that I loved about real estate. So I'm like, oh well, I'll keep messing it up until I figure it out,
Right.
or figure out what I'm supposed to figure out for me. And
Mm.
that was I just accepted that as part of that leg of my life journey, so to speak, or that chapter in my life. And I do a little bit in real estate, but I really don't do as much as I did. And for those that know me closely and well, it's like, oh, we lost a lot of money and a lot of uh, opportunity. I messed up some
Hmm.
big stuff in real estate,
Hmm.
and at one time it's like I was really on top of my game. It was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed that part of it. But I think for me, it was the journey that I enjoyed the most, of learning new skills about it, learning new facets of it that I would have never, ever, uh, uh, like found for myself before. And the people who I met, I still have connections today with some awesome people who are still heavily involved in real estate. I'm just, I am so not so far removed from it, but it's just, it's a very small percentage, a fraction of what I think about and talk about. And because it's really all about, I want people to be more them, to experience the life that they're supposed to experience. And for you, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, right? I love the things that you mentioned. You're a creative, and you have this, kind of an acting and model and
Yeah,
really an artistic side of you, right? That is right
exactly.
there. So, now it's time for you to just embrace that even further and step more into what you are already doing, and you'll figure out the next major step. Like when I first did it myself, it's like, all right, I'm gonna get my real estate license.
Right. Let's take the first step. Right. Exactly.
There's the first thing I probably need is I probably need a real estate license, and then I'm like,
Right.
oh, okay, I guess a broker's license would be good too. So I'm like, yeah,
Right.
I didn't want to do residential. I'm going to focus on commercial. And, there's a bunch of people poo pooing, that it's like, the negative talk and stuff like that. It's like, or
Yeah.
at least that's how it occurred. It wasn't negative. It was just more factual, but it was more like, oh, you don't want to go down the commercial route. It takes 3 years before you just to get your footing and understanding.
Yeah.
Anybody gets to know you. And, I didn't do that. I didn't take that route, but I found a whole bunch of other things, and actually uh, fast tracked myself, because I'm like, well, it's fine. They did that. That's their way. I'm supposed to find out what I'm supposed to find out, just like you are as well. And so I would
Exactly.
say, just in the spirit of being more you, just keep stepping forward.
Thank you. I
You're welcome.
appreciate it, Sean.
Yeah. So, what did you hear in all that for yourself, and as far as new actions that you may want to embark on for yourself?
Well, I love that. It's always good to hear you're doing the right thing. That's always great to hear. But just to really like push forward and apply more pressure
Yeah.
and start, like, for example, your first action was getting the license or just taking the class. And for
Yeah.
me, it just maybe doing research and figuring out, like, so for example, with some of the shoots that I do, I love a lot of the photo shoots that I do. I like a lot of the graphics, and I want to turn those pictures into really cool graphics. And I would like to put them on shirts and sell them as merchandise for my
Yeah.
brand. And just a way to continue to, promote it. And yeah, so one of the steps would be just figuring out the best quality of shirt. How am I going to set my stuff apart, and what are the means to selling merchandise so that I don't have to run around and make deliveries, or I don't have to see people. Like, what's the more efficient way to do this? And
Got it. So it
yeah.
sounds like you just stepped from one realm, following your
Hmm.
passion, right, into another one.
Hmm.
It's like, well, how do I monetize my passion? And that's what we talk about in Medici all
Exactly.
the time, right?
Exactly.
Right. So it's good stuff. So it's perfect that you're in this inquiry. And so I know the challenges for myself is like, okay, well, what do I want to really do for my business? What do I really want to put out there? And I'm always looking for what's going to be my self motivator. What are the things that I like? And that you love the creative aspect of it all. And I don't know about
Yes.
you, but for me, when it becomes too much work, then I typically begin to shy away from things. Like, oh, it's like, here's a regimented thing. Like even today
Mm,
for this call,
got
right?
it.
We do this live broadcast Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I caught myself doing this earlier today. It's like I'm hemming and hawing. I was like, oh, gotta do my podcast video blog with Jaleesa. I'm just
Right.
like,
Right.
oh, it's so hard. I gotta think of topics and stuff like that. But what I forget is the whole reason I'm doing this is to leverage other thinking for myself and for anybody who's watching this. Not to be with us a full hour,
Correct.
but just a portion of it. So it's like, oh, you know what? We are leveraging our lunch hour. We are taking actions on the things that we do
Sean.
want in life and how we want to do it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Sounds like you're back
Yeah.
at Medici.
I am. I just walked back in. I'm here.
That's awesome. So the other thing
Now
I'll say is just in the spirit of being more you, right, is defining your definite why around it. And right now, the other thing I'd heard was, and other people might have heard it too, and if you rewind the tape, so to speak, you'll be able to see it or hear it for yourself, is that it's like, well, how do I, monetize that? And you're kind of stepping into, it's like, oh, well, I have an idea of how I want to make money with it. And that's through the t-shirts and getting this art and this medium out there for something that people can not only enjoy and wear and share the experience of, but it'll also be profitable for you. And the thing you might have heard or maybe you didn't hear is that there's like a little disconnect because there was other people like Bob Proctor would call it a terror barrier, or it's like we're hitting the law of the lid, right? You can only grow as far as your understanding allows. So look at
exactly.
the broader picture on your bigger why, and then allow yourself to step into your bigger why, and those little details will figure themselves out. Because the way I thought of it was, it's like, oh, you got this cool art display. I don't know. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, why wouldn't you share that with more people and have it an exhibit, and then
Good.
sell the t-shirts through the exhibit where people not only can experience it, but know you for being this creative on a whole different level, through the video means, because realistically, we're not going to be doing anything in person on a grand scale anytime soon. So
Correct.
just allow it to open up and just reinforce your why in the matter.
I love that. That's a great reminder to also not get lost in it all.
No. Well, and
Thank you.
as human beings, that's just what we do.
That's what we do. Exactly.
We left to our own devices, we will just screw ourselves up unless we're really, some people don't. They won't. They're really tight-laced and focused and driven, right? And that's awesome for some people. And then there's other people, myself included, where it's like, oh, there's, you can call it shiny object syndrome or ADD, or, whoa, this seems really interesting to me, truly. So, it's great to have reminders. And that's one of the reasons why I started my coaching practice, was just help people stay on track for their stuff.
That's awesome.
Yep. Remind them of what they're for. And, I did this, I had a coaching session Monday earlier this week, and I gave him the same reference to the same book and almost the same quote that he had given someone like 4 days earlier. And it's like, wow. Oh, it's like, I can't believe you just said that to me. I just gave that same advice to somebody else, and he wasn't taking the own advice that he was sharing with somebody else. He already knew what to do, but he just kind of got derailed and off track. So it was great.
Wow. That's hilarious. Yeah, taking your own advice is a whole nother.
It's a whole nother thing, right? Myself, be more you. It's like, what? I don't feel like being me right now.
Right, I don't want to be me right now.
I don't want to be upbeat and positive.
Exactly.
It's kind of just who I am, right?
Exactly.
I was thinking about my buddy Fred. He's like, oh, you're like the most motivated, positive person that I know. Sean Brady is it. And I'm like, no, you don't know the real me.
You don't know the real me.
I'm not always smiling, just most of the time.
Yeah, we're a multitude of things, so we all are.
So there you go, folks. Be more you. Jaleesa, thank you. Thank you for being the Medici Muse today, and definitely helping us get this recording properly set up, recorded, and out there for more people to share.
No problem.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's always my pleasure. So as we always end these shows, we may not see in person, but we'll always see you right here on social media. Thanks for watching. And I always forget to pull this thing up when I'm the host control. All right. 3, 2, 1. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.